You don't worry about that guy. Stop throwing the P word around, Ryan.
I
You're being
meant
rude to our
the
guest.
rent's too high guy, David. Mama's living in a shoe.
Yeah, that guy left the scene like right as rent got way too high. Like rent just exploded and right as soon as he went away. Like that guy must have been helping to keep rents down. Because as soon as he went away, like the cost of all housing skyrocketed.
The only thing that held rent in check was that guy just knowing the truth. Rent is too damn high.
Ryan, today, and our guest today, let's just introductories. Everyone knows me. Everyone knows Ryan. Our guest.
All right. Well, I am John Thomas. I am a second-time guest, I believe, on this show.
First time, second time guest. Let's go. First time, second time guest. Let's go.
The first returning guest. I love it. So I was the United States.
That's not true. That's not true.
Oh,
Ryan, that's inaccurate. Christian has been on twice.
I don't count Christian. He's your political insider.
You don't count him because he's a political insider.
Works for a foreign party, David. We are the American party. All the parties are obsolete, David.
Was he or was he not a guest that was on multiple times, right?
I call it bullshit, Dave. This is our first and true only real guest. He's your friend. He's your friend. He's your friend.
Can you be nice? Christian wants to come back.
Oh, he wants to come back as your friend now. Now he wants to notoriety.
Third time returning guest.
Yeah, it'd be the second time Dave's friend's been on the program, you know?
Oh, my God. Listen, it's relevant. It's relevant. We cut you off.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, so I was the United States Senate candidate for the state of Pennsylvania for the Libertarian Party in 2024. I'm no longer a Senate candidate because that race is over. Dave McCormick won. Dave McCormick won by about 15,000 votes. I got about 90,000 votes. So I got about 6 times that margin of victory between McCormick and Casey. And I have some hate mail from the Casey side from people who say I cost Casey the election, which is fun. I was expecting to get. I was actually expecting Casey to win, so I was expecting much more hate mail from people who said I cost McCormick at the election. But no matter which way it was going to go, it was such a tight race that I was going to cost the loser the election. So that happened last year. Since then, I've been spending more time at home with my wife and. My grandkids are over just about every day. They're over here right now, so you might hear them in the background. But it's been.
Oh, thanks for making time for us. Amazing. Also, congratulations on throwing the monkey wrench in the Pennsylvania election. You are a great man for, I guess, pissing people off about doing your civic duty to try to do betterment by your countrymen. That's amazing. 90,000 votes. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's so cool.
Yeah.
How did it feel to get voted and stuff and like to go through that process?
What's that?
How did it feel to like be voted on and stuff? Like, was this like your first time running for something? Like,
well, I am an elected constable in my area, so it's not my first time. But that was an uncontested race, so nobody wants to be constable. So I ran against nobody. And even then, I only got like 75% of the vote because it was like the only race that was on the back of the ballot. So like most people didn't turn over their ballot to see that I was on there to vote for me. So most people did turn it over because I got 75%. But there was a good solid 25% of people who just didn't even realize that was a race. Or saw that the only person in the race was a libertarian and was like, nah.
So when you're a libertarian going into what I consider a major election, this isn't running for dog catcher or constable. No offense to being a constable. I'm sure that's great. But like when you're running for a senator position, what does it take to be a libertarian and be on the ballot? Like, is that in itself a full-time job?
getting the signatures to get on the ballot is tough as a libertarian. Pennsylvania is easier than a lot of states. We need 5,000 signatures, and we have like about 5 months to get them. Like in New York, they need like 50,000. They have 1 month to get it.
Well, I believe another John Thomas, by the way, who was a libertarian in New York, he was trying to run for something, and I can't remember what, whether it was like a local mayor position or something, but it was whatever it was. Like he had to get so many signatures that it wasn't even like ever going to happen. It was just a completely unrealistic number.
Well, Pennsylvania is weird because we have certain like congressional districts that need almost as many or as many signatures as we need for statewide races. So for statewide races, we need 5,000. We had Bradley Cooper running in Bucks County. For him to get on the ballot for a congressional district, he needed like 4,300 signatures
In his county.
In his congressional district. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have what, like 20?
Right, but the state you only need 5,000. That's crazy.
Right. So like 1/20th of the state, he needed almost the same amount as I needed for the entire state.
So how did you get those five? Did you personally go door to door and get 5,000 signatures, or did you have a coalition around you?
We had several people who would go, and it wasn't so much door to door. If we needed, if we were like in New York, we would have had to have resorted to door to door. I found that, and this is a hint for anybody who does run for office as a third party candidate. Parades are the best place to get signatures because people are sitting still. Like I went to fairs.
Right, you're going to them basically. It's fish in a barrel.
Right.
But it's everybody in one place.
Yeah, I went to fairs and festivals, and those are decent places, but you're the one standing still and you're trying to get people to stop at you. Whenever you're at a parade, they're staying still. You're like, hey, can I get a signature? And they just want you to get out of their face. So they're like, yeah, I'll sign anything.
Oh my God, that's great, dude.
Yeah.
So
who knows?
Parades.
Who knows who might need that piece of advice in the future.
Yeah, Trump definitely needs a parade to get some signatures, David.
Now Trump actually did help us out this time.
How so?
Trump actually thought having Chase Oliver on the ballot was going to help him. So we're able to stack candidates on our signature lists. So every signature for Chase Oliver was also a signature for me and our other statewide candidates. So Trump wanted Chase Oliver to be on the ballot. So he actually paid for petitioners to come into Pennsylvania and collect signatures for Chase Oliver. But that also, every signature that was collected for him was also good for me. So we would have gotten just over the 5,000 ourselves, but they say you want over 10,000. You want over twice that amount. So it was Trump's paid petitioners that was able to give us that comfortable margin that prevented it from being challenged. So we
could talk a little bit of some more insider libertarian stuff potentially if you would be down for that. I can say this. I personally was not a tremendous fan of Chase Oliver. We reached out to his camp. We were going to have him on the show. They said, well, how about Dr. Mike Tremont? And we're like, sure, whatever, fine. And he came on the show, and I got to be honest, and I never met the guy in person. I heard stories about him behind the scenes that weren't great. But from my own personal experience, him on the show, he was great. I mean, I personally, the things he was speaking of sounded way more in line with my brand of this, whatever you want to call it. I've never been able to pinpoint myself politically. I don't know where the fuck I am. He was way more in line with anything me and Ryan talk about than Chase Oliver.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in two elections in a row, the Libertarian Party vice presidential candidate was better than the Libertarian Party presidential candidate. This time, I think Mike Tremont was better than.
It was Spike Cohen last time too.
Yeah,
right?
last time was Spike Cohen and Joe Jorgensen.
He ran in New York, I think, as governor against. Or was that Larry Sharp?
That was Larry Sharp. Larry Sharp was another guy who
he is good.
Larry Sharp ran as a vice presidential candidate, kind of as like a the running mate with Lars, and he would have been another good vice president. He would be good at the head of a ticket too. But Chase Oliver, Chase Oliver, interested. He kind of got his national name recognition because that race in Georgia that was between Herschel Walker and
Oh
who
my
is the
god,
senator down there?
Jesus Christ, Herschel Walker was fucking awful.
It was an awful race, but Georgia has runoff rules. So if neither candidate gets 50%, then it's a runoff election. And Chase Oliver got enough votes to keep either candidate from getting enough 50% of the vote. And so he was the ultimate spoiler. Like if Pennsylvania had those same runoff rules, then I would have gotten a lot more attention because neither McCormick nor Casey would have gotten the 50%. Pennsylvania would have gotten into a runoff situation. I would have gotten a lot of press. So Chase Oliver got a lot of press because of the way that Georgia has their election set up. And he was able to get on CNN and a couple other national shows.
Well, he was like all over CNN and C-SPAN and shit, and like I don't know whatever. Was he the worst performing libertarian presidential candidate for quite some time?
Yes, yeah. I mean, Joe Jorgensen did better than him. The two previous to that were Gary Johnson, and Gary Johnson did
he did well.
Yeah, he did extraordinarily well in electoral counts,
which is funny because I actually quite preferred Austin Peterson.
I like the Austin Peterson since then too. Lately, I've not been a fan of Austin Peterson, but back in that time,
he was strong. He was like a constitutional mini-archist.
Back when that debate that he was in with it was of Gary Johnson, it was Austin Peterson. There was
John McAfee was there.
John McAfee, yeah, that was a hilarious debate. But I think Austin Peterson did pretty good.
Was that the one where he got booed because he was like, "No, 3-year-olds can't have heroin"? It was like something along those lines.
Yeah, Gary Johnson said that was driver's license. It's like, I think driver's license people ought to have driver's license before they drive, and everyone booed him. It's like, yes.
You can't rule the Cretans, man.
It's one of those things where I do always I would say I fall into a more libertarian-ish person, but I'm still like, there's still like those people where it's like, man, if we could just settle down just a little bit, I think we'd be more in line with most people. And I think that's what the Mises Caucus is, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Mises Caucus does appeal to a lot of the people who look at the nonsense, the naked men running across the stage at the convention, people wearing G-strings at the convention. People look at that and they're like, no, these people cannot be taken seriously. So the Mises Caucus does, I think, give a different perspective on that. Like, you're not going to see any Mises Caucus peoples, despite the abbreviation of MECOX. You're not going to see any MECOX running around on stage in a G-string. So yeah.
Yeah, they definitely tend to
the
fall
things
more
right themselves, man.
Yeah, they seem to, but they fall more in line with, like, in my opinion, and whatever, what the fuck do I know? But they seem to fall more in line with like the Ron Paul type people than the rest of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, that is what the Mises Caucus was founded basically for. It was after the founding of the Mises Caucus, but at probably their biggest rally was in Pittsburgh, right in my neck of the woods. They had what was it called? It was with the 2021 Libertarian Convention, and Dave Smith said that the Mises Caucus represents the it's the home for all of those people who were involved in the Ron Paul movement in 2008 and 2012. It was where the revolution was going to again pick up steam. And that really was what got people excited for the Mises Caucus, was that we were going to continue that Ron Paul revolution. And I think that 2020 was the time to do that. Unfortunately, the Mises Caucus didn't yet have control. So the Libertarian Party kind of dropped the ball in 2020. We didn't hit hard on the COVID madness whenever
Which is
we had that opportunity.
crazy, because if you're a libertarian, how do you watch COVID and that's not the number one thing you talk about?
That should have been the only thing out of your mouth all the time.
Everything they've ever said prior to COVID, like all the things they warned everybody about. They're like, you don't want too much government. We're telling you, this is this type of shit that's going to happen. It was like all the worst apocalyptic conspiracy theories, right? If you're somebody else, you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. That would never happen. And then COVID happened and it was everything they said.
And it wasn't that they didn't talk about it, they would, but it was always couched in a way like this. It was always like, we don't need the government to lock everything down. We need to educate the public on the advantages of locking themselves down. And I was like, no.
They were bought and paid for, dude. Bought and paid for. Follow the money.
It was, either they were, I think saying bought and paid for gives them a little bit too much credit. It makes them think that they have, it tells, you buy and pay for things that have value. And I don't think they had any value at that point. I think they were just cowards. It was just cowardice. I don't think they had enough value to be bought and paid for.
And honestly, that was the first image I saw of Chase Oliver, and it put a bad taste in my mouth immediately. Was him with the rainbow mask, libertarian mask, and I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, no. For his family Thanksgiving,
perfectly okay with gay people. For the record, perfectly okay with it. Don't hate gay people. Don't care. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care, as long as it doesn't involve kids. And I don't really care if people chose to wear masks, to be perfectly honest with you. But something about the image of the libertarian wearing the rainbow fucking mask, I'm like, no, wrong guy. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but by that point, because that was November, so we've already been dealing with the nonsense for 9 months at that point. And he's posted on Facebook his rainbow mask, which the mask itself, we already knew was just a way to virtue signal. It was just a way to tell people, yes, I will submit to the virtues of the cathedral. That's what the masks did. He had a rainbow mask, which was like a double virtue signal. He's like, yes, whatever the cathedral tells me, I am down for this. So it was, and libertarians, like, nobody's going to throw away their vote for something that's aligned with the cathedral. Like, and I would be the first to tell you, libertarians aren't going to win. I was saying it whenever I was running as a libertarian.
Well, that's a really good point. If you're not going to separate yourself from the pack, then you're not a third option.
Right. Like, you have
you're just like Democrat or Republican light or something. Right. Just like a watered down version of the same thing.
If you want rainbow masks, Kamala Harris is running.
Yes, exactly. You could have that.
Which is why they had no values, because they didn't package up a different product to even sell. Like, they didn't even package up the ideas against, in this instance, would be the COVID thing to even capitalize on it. Yeah. For the people that are free market capitalists, they were shitty at free market capitalism, And like the whole apparatus of libertarianism is based in like this idea of standing out. Yeah, it's very interesting. Do you think it's lack of creativity? Do you think that's part of like, or just like incompetence at some height of this political leadership?
I'll go back to cowardice. I think that there's a fear of, I don't want to be the guy that the cathedral runs through the mud. I don't want to lose
They're
whatever
just,
credibility I have.
somebody's got to be willing to be crucified.
Yeah. So Thomas Massey was asked one time, why is it that so many people go to Washington saying they're going to be like you, and then they get there and they're nothing like you? Is it
And
because
he's one of the only guys who can say that, because he's one of the only guys that gets there and is still us.
right, he's still one of us. So he was asked directly about it, and the person who was asking him was kind of thinking like conspiracy theory type thing. Do you think they're all corrupted? Do you think they get there and somebody bribes them, and he had a much more a much less nefarious reason for it. He said most people want to be liked. I don't care about being liked. So he is willing to go against the grain because he doesn't care if you like him or not. Too many libertarians want to be liked.
I like that answer. I like that. Yeah, and it's way better
It's
than
better than Veep, David.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, because we've been told so many times, and it's just flat out wrong, that all these people in government, it's just incompetence, mass incompetence. All these people that worked their way to the top happen to be incompetent, and I just don't buy it.
Yeah. Tom Woods said once. He said, if it were just incompetence, then they would have accidentally get something right once in a while.
Ha 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 ha!
Like,
ain't that the truth?
Broken clock, right?
Right.
Yeah, man. Right, twice
Broken
a day, a
clock theory.
blind squirrel finds a nut eventually, dude. Yeah.
It's got to be something other than that, because
it's like getting every question wrong on the test. Like,
right. Like,
right.
if you're doing a true false test and you get every question wrong, you knew all the answers, right? Like, you had to know that you had to know every single answer to get every answer wrong. They know what they're doing, because otherwise they'd accidentally get something right. So,
yeah, I like that answer as well. I would just go to extend that courage is a form of control, and if you don't have any, you will be controlled. Those that stand for nothing will fall for everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I still
absolutely.
double down that it's not Veep. It's, if anything, the people in politics that are the ones that run, some kind of circuitry over others. They know that when those people get down there, that they're not going to tell the truth because they do want to be liked. That place is so wired with psychology and
Right. And remember that we live in a democracy. So the people who are in Washington got there because they won a popularity contest. People who win popularity contests really like to be liked. Like, that's
true.
So maybe the people behind the scenes don't care about being liked, but the people who are elected, they absolutely care about being liked. That's how you win popularity contests, is you like to be liked.
Yeah, that's the job, right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so this started, it's weird. So we need a. Sorry, Dave.
No, this just started years ago, because Ben Shapiro said, like off collar to some degree, that it's not House of Cards, it's just Veep. And we just recently heard a guest, and I don't remember what her name was. She said it on Tim Pool's show recently, that it's just Veep. All these people are just incompetent. And I love Ryan's point, which is, you can't be incompetent on a $150,000 a year salary and everybody's a millionaire.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like, they're not stupid.
Dude, there's no way. There's no way. The average Tom, Dick, and Harry that lives on your block would be a millionaire too. Then
Nancy Pelosi. I love Ryan's line about Nancy Pelosi. She outperforms
the stock market. Just incompetent. Outpaced the entire stock market. All the companies with all the AI algorithms. Outpaced all of them. Government's ran out of fucking fax machine. There ain't no excuse.
There's a mutual fund out there that just follows her public trades.
Oh, hell yeah. That'd be the smartest play.
You invest in it, and they just take your money and follow Nancy Pelosi's trades.
That would be the smartest play. Really, it honestly would.
You don't do as well as
Financial,
Nancy Pelosi,
baby.
Because Nancy Pelosi's always one step ahead of you, but the next best thing to being Nancy Pelosi is being one step behind Nancy Pelosi and doing everything she does, just a step behind her.
The only thing better than being her is her shadow, right? Like,
yes. or her plastic surgeon, who's probably also doing
Yeah,
pretty well.
her husband's plastic surgeon after that hammer attack.
She's got the S&P 500 in her rack. Here's
Her tits are filled with gold, dude.
the fucking things absolutely aren't real. Ryan,
Nancy Pelosi of the golden bosoms, dude. Fucking $10 million tits, dude.
I'm gonna bring up this clip. Trump recently was on ABC, okay, and he did an interview, and this clip's kind of going around. It's I'm just gonna play it out, and we'll take a listen. But here's the thing, and you may or may not remember this, but I had an internal debate in the Libertarian group actually about Trump mass deporting people to El Salvador. In the and I don't remember who it was, but the guy's point I'm perfectly fine with, which is this is a completely slippery slope, and you can't just take these people away without due process. Now, in my opinion, you're here illegally, you don't have due process. That's fine. That was the whole debate. That was it. But I completely respect what he was saying. I don't like what people on the left are doing, which is just a Maryland man. He was perfectly good. They took away a legal
hardworking father of 5.
Husband. Yeah. All these things. When all they had to say was, yeah, maybe not the best guy, but it's a slippery slope. Don't really love this. That'd be fine. That's perfectly acceptable. That's exactly what that guy's argument against me was, and that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I completely understand it, and I get it. I do. But the whole thing that like he's this like perfect poster child of a great father and husband, they just need to stop. And here's Trump pushing back and doing the only thing that I'm a big fan of Trump at, to be perfectly honest. I'm bringing up the clip right now, but like we've always Ryan and myself always defined ourselves as Trump defenders, not really Trump supporters. But this is the kind of shit. This is that shit I actually like, though. To be perfectly honest,
murderers, criminals in this country. We have to get them out, and we're doing it. And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute.
Interpret.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me.
That was Photoshopped, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. I think you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattoos.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
You want me to show you the
We'll
and you use Photoshop. Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No.
Not an expert on permanent ink on your knuckles, huh?
As clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look
Why
at that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does. And,
Ukraine, sir. How do you?
It's murder.
Dude, if a grown man stand across from me. Oh my God! Could you imagine? Oh, sir, they're just photoshopped on his fucking hand. They photoshopped tattoos on his hand. I seen his hand. I'd punch you. I just punch you.
Well, I think many of the people in the cathedral really think that the image where it shows like in Times New Roman font, it says MS-13 to kind of interpret the tattoos. I think that they think that was the Photoshop job that Trump thinks is the tattoos. Like I think they think Trump is really that stupid that he thinks that like the
billionaire he's stupid and a billionaire. Really?
Right.
That's
right.
weird.
I think that is the hang up there. I think that Trump is like those tattoos signify MS-13
that could be, but I think it's most likely that they don't care what Trump thinks. They know the people watching. They just want to push their narrative, and if they can push it in any way possible, the average person at home is going to now think, oh, there's a photoshopped, his hand's completely clean, there's no tattoos on his hand, he doesn't have MS-13 on his hand. Well, they could be interpreted that way. No, they're not interpreted. They are MS-13. Well, I don't know. I'm not an expert. What do you mean you're not an expert? An expert of what? Photoshop?
They're not an expert on Photoshop, because that MS-13 that was kind of superimposed to explain what the tattoos were. That wasn't Photoshop. Like, if it was the worst Photoshop ever. That was just somebody taking a text tool on
the guy who did it
on what basis?
Well, whoever did the Photoshop wasn't an expert at Photoshop. That's all.
Yeah. On what basis, David? Am I supposed to ask questions as a journalist? On what basis?
I don't know if you.
Hey, Chris Cuomo, what injured you? Oh, the vaccine. The vaccine my brother told you to take. That forced you to.
Clip.
I'm not going to ask any questions.
Chris Cuomo was on Patrick Bet-David's show.
And
he's talking about during COVID, how come he wasn't out there questioning doctors and about all these things? And he's like, well, on what basis was I supposed to question all these people? Chris, on the basis you were a fucking journalist. On the basis that's your entire job as a journalist is to fucking question the experts.
Well, his job at that point was to carry water for his brother.
Well, of course.
Hey. Don't be saying that. I got ass to grab over here.
Yeah, the least offensive thing Andrew Cuomo ever did is what got him out. He grabbed a little ass. Of course,
seriously, dude. That guy
he's an Italian.
Fucked New York State up. It's just like,
yeah, I grabbed a little ass, but I'm Italian. Oh, okay. Grab away, sir.
He's an Italian mafia connected guy. I think
I just grabbed a little ass. You killed grandparents, Chris or Andrew. And Chris covered it up.
Well,
because on what basis is he going to ask any questions, of course?
And then wouldn't let you
especially of his brother, Dave. I would never ask my brother.
This is why.
Let's not talk about that guy that was having gay sex orgies in M&T bank buildings, David, or whatever it was, right at the same time.
We were just talking about this distrust in media and why the old media is dying and why it'll never come back, and why we're the freak shows, of course. And it's just this is it. This is why. Because you sound ridiculous.
Yes,
they're just photoshopped.
Just say the whole time wasn't the best guy, but I don't think you should send. Oh, by the way, maybe mention he was an El Salvadorian. By the way, don't just say we sent a Maryland man to El Salvador for no reason. Just put all the facts on the table and let them fall where they may. Okay, the guy's from El Salvador, doesn't have a great record. Maybe not a model husband and child, but all I'm saying is slippery slope. Don't send them all to El Salvador. Have some due process, and then let the judicial system do what it does. And that's a perfectly fine argument.
And that would be my argument.
And that's fine. That's a great argument. That's
because I think that I do worry that the point you were making of if you're an illegal alien, then you don't get due process. Well, there has to be some process that's due to somebody to determine that they are an illegal alien.
I agree with you, and that check is very quick. And when I talk about due process, I'm talking about an actual court, jury
of your peers,
prosecutor,
right? To
I get it. Yeah. That to me, that is the full due process. But when we're talking about people that are here illegally, you can check legal status very quickly, very easily.
Right. So that process needs to be clear.
So if you call that due process, that's fine. But.
Yeah, and I know I'm using the term, but there has to be a process that's due to somebody before you can just extradite them. And I think that maybe you want that. Whether you're sending them back to a neighborhood in Mexico or a prison in El Salvador, I think that you might want different levels of due process involved there as well. If you're just taking somebody and sending them back.
Just even this argument itself is a good starting point. You know what I mean? Like, I keep hearing, I heard there was a video circulating of people's heads getting shaved when they arrive at those internment camps while they wait to be deported, and it's to combat disease and all these things. But, nobody's like even referencing, what we're talking about here, that like, hey, let's just acknowledge that there's some people broke laws, and we're not going to treat them like animals, but we can't have them be in our country, especially if they are MS-13 members, regardless if they are a father.
And we just did
but
that
we're
story
not
too
even
about
able to start to have that conversation.
We just did that story too. We just covered it about the judge. Was it Wisconsin or Minnesota or something? The one judge who just got
They got arrested for not following. Yeah, it was in Milwaukee, I think.
Okay, sure. And as you're reading through the article, it's like they're talking about the guy, and they're like, "Well, the guy broke no laws except for," and then it's like, domestic abuse and all this shit, and it's like, this is the shit that gets Trump people fired up. And rightfully so, because these people come here illegally, already breaking a law, and all they hear from the left is, well, all these people are just good people who are just trying to find some good land and opportunities. I get it. I do. But when you come here illegally and then you break the law again, like, what are we supposed to do? Just let it slide?
Do you remember after the gay marriage ruling in 2015, I think it was?
Is it the Supreme Court ruling where they just kind of like legislated from the bench?
Yes. There was a judge in Kentucky who
and then a phone, David.
Kentucky had in their constitution, it recognized marriage as being between a man and a woman. And then the Supreme Court said, no, it can be anything you want it to be. So there was a judge in Kentucky that said, okay, I cannot both uphold both the Kentucky Constitution, which I'm sworn to uphold, and the Supreme Court decision, and still perform marriages. Mm-hmm. So this judge refused to perform any marriages, and they had her arrested for not performing gay marriages.
Well, that sounds like they must have been Hitler. This was in 15. Who was in office then?
I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was Barack Hussein Obama who was president then.
Well, he must have been Hitler then.
But here's the thing: I don't recall anybody comparing him to Hitler.
But the thing that's so ridiculous, and it's so obvious that they're disingenuous, and it hypocritical. I get it; everyone's hypocritical, but like they don't believe their own shit, and that's what bothers me because they're running around after literally trying to arrest and put in prison the man running for president, who is now president. No one's above the law. No one's above the law. No one's above the law. Fine, great. No one's above the law. I get it. Fast forward, an FBI arrests a judge, and it's complete outrage. Everything's Hitler and Nazis.
Yes, because judges are above the law.
Well, apparently, no one's above the law except judges, and they've just left that part out.
Yes, that was implied. There was an implied asterisk on that.
Well, they determine the law, so of course they're above the law.
But judges who refuse to perform gay marriages are not above the law.
Well, those judges aren't above the law, of course not.
You have to get all the. It's nuanced. It's very nuanced.
It's not a black.
Dude, imagine being the number one judge in America. The freaking Supreme Court's got to have such an ego because they're the judge that judges the judges. Jesus. I had a line that's a little poetry, but I always said that we're such good judges that maybe we need to be better jurors. Maybe we need to listen to evidence more. Maybe we need to be 12 different personalities when we tackle things. Maybe we need to instead of pointing outward with people with conviction, we point inward with that same conviction. We're so fast to judge others and we don't judge ourselves enough. We don't see each other in the person we're judging as much as we should, which is why there's 12 people or there's so many people on a jury to pick out of your peers. And peer doesn't even exist to begin with. So what is a peer? What appears to be a peer? I don't know.
Well, along those lines, the judicial system is supposed to have some degree of inbuilt humility involved. Judges do not release laws; they release opinions. The fact that they're stating that this is an opinion implies that this might not be correct. So the idea that judges should
it can't be correct because humans make mistakes, right? Which goes back to what you said about how our law is implicit that there's a certain degree of humanity there. That's why we have a jury of our peers, and it's not just based on evidence. That's why there's testimony and not just evidence. That's why it's not just science based. It's also a bit of psychology and everything else. And That's very interesting.
Right, and even in a criminal trial, you never pronounce somebody innocent. You say that they're not guilty. Like the evidence didn't prove this person was guilty. I'm not saying the person's innocent. We presume he's innocent, but I'm not. We can't say that he's innocent. We're just presuming
allegedly.
innocence. We're saying not guilty, and
then we'll alleged.
So it's like the way that the common law system was built. It was built with humility as kind of its backbone, but since we've gotten away from common law more into this fiat system where
the legalese.
Right. Because it used to be laws were something that was discovered. It wasn't laws. Laws weren't something that was made. Like nobody made the law.
Holy shit! What a revolutionary idea, brother! You mean we discovered private property rights? You know, we just discovered freedom. We're like, you know what? I'm fucking sick and tired of being a slave here. What are we gonna do about it? I don't know. Let's be free, dude. Let's try freedom. Let's try like due process here.
That is exactly how it happened too. It wasn't that some bunch of
guys are
people,
so awesome. The job trading.
Yeah, it wasn't that these people with wigs on got in a parliamentary system and said, you know what we ought to try today is private property. That's not how it happened. It was a process of discovery through different common law systems. So it wasn't.
And so.
Wasn't people just said no, private property is the law. It was something that was
and some of their own personal experience.
Yes.
I think that's where a lot of the discovering probably happened.
Oh, absolutely. Like we're humans. We cannot be disconnected entirely from our own experiences. So discovery happens there, but yeah,
dude, that is so powerful. And obviously it's kind of like implicit. And like the idea of like what you said, that we kind of make laws up as we go because we're discovering the system. And obviously it's just created like a self-feeding mechanism when you add money into it that's just going to take a runaway train and make it run faster. But that is so interesting to think about our laws and what we have, especially in this country, as something that was just like freely, resistantly discovered as we built towards it. Like every little thing that precedented the next thing had to come from the thing before, but the thing that it was making was better. It's such a cool thought. I'm so glad that you said that. You just changed my whole perspective.
But the legislature doesn't do that. The legislature makes
not
laws.
Anymore.
Like they're considered the law making body. Like the judiciary was originally the discoverer of law. Like two people would have this.
So they would take the law to that length of it, right? Like, and like have them work it out. The law was there. They were there to stamp out the law, figure out where it goes too far.
Right. They were there to figure out the law. Exactly. It wasn't that nobody was there to make the law. They were there to figure out the law. So two people would be in a dispute. They would go before a judge, and the judge would be like, okay, I'm going to weigh the evidence, and I think it goes this way. And if other judges agreed, well, that was a smart decision, they would, and then through that process, law would be discovered. It was a discovery. But nobody said, hey, this is the law. It was just, this is obviously the law because this is the way it's been done. But then we got around the early 1800s, late 1700s, we got more of this legislative system where we had, it really happened in France under the after the French Revolution, where you had a law-making body. We were going to throw out all of this law that was discovered, and now we're going to have people who make laws. And that's totally different. Making laws is not the same as discovering laws. You can discover the laws of gravity, but are you going to be able to make the law of gravity? No, that's nonsense. You can discover the laws of motion, but you can't make the laws of motion. But then the laws of human behavior are what they are. You can't make them. But we have
human.
this idea.
Yeah,
this
I've said on the
idea.
program that politics is like the study of human psychology when it comes to voting and politics and like culture and stuff. And like this little rift here about the law is just like a prime example of that. That theory of like discovering the law as you're doing is because it's kind of like the human spirit isn't on paper. Like we don't get a handbook, so we're trying to figure out what is even a moral, right? Like moral isn't like a thing. We fucking discovered morals through war and people suffering or people stealing stuff, and that's not fair, and shame and biological triggers. That's so fascinating. It's such a cool way to look at it.
And you even look at something like the Jewish religion, which is a religion that was founded on a law that was handed down from God. Well, the Talmud is like way longer than the Bible is, the Old Testament Bible that the Jews have. And what is that? It's interpretations of the Torah. The Talmud is volume after volume of interpretations of the Torah, because they're like, okay, we need to discover what this law means. We're given this law, now let's discover what this law means. So that has always been part of civilized human society. Now in this postmodern society in which we live in, you could argue it's not civilized, and we're no longer.
Can you define postmodernism for us? Just you personally, what you consider that as somebody that's been, obviously ears to the ground with some of this politics, seeing, because Jordan Peterson famously always talks about the postmodernists and, how they're basically Marxist. They're trained Marxists. They're going to take down society. And that's what postmodernism basically is destruction of culture and history in your religious institutions. And but if you could just like define it for you.
Yeah, but my understanding, if I were to define, I would say that modernism was a grounding in the Enlightenment. And the Enlightenment said that man is able to discover truth. That man is able to, through dialogue, through scientific investigation, through observation, man can discover the truth. That was the Enlightenment. That was what modernism was born out of. Postmodernism is the idea that there is no truth. There's no truth to discover. You have your truth. I have my truth. We have lived experiences.
Is that what Nietzsche said about nihilism? Right? Is that what they said? Just nihilism would take place after the death of God or whatever?
That does sound like Nietzsche. So yeah, that could be. So existentialism might have led into some postmodernism, but yeah, I would say postmodernism is a rejection of truth.
Okay.
Not
so
the
they're
rejection
anti-scientists.
So like you say that car is green, and I say that car is blue. If the car is green, I would be rejecting the truth. But the postmodernist would be like, there's no way to know the color of that car. They would be rejecting the concept of truth.
Or they would say
entirely.
that, right? Or the green has blue in the green, like there's blue in the green, so you're both, it can be blue, sure, yeah. It depends if the light's hitting it in a certain way, and maybe if it's dark out or.
Yeah,
it's endless political correctness. Endless political correctness.
And
color's really on a spectrum of light, so everything's really white, but white isn't real.
Yes, yes. Postmodernism loves spectrums. Everything's a spectrum.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's because they're autistic.
You mean Asperger's, David? Asperger's.
No, you know what I found out? I didn't know this. So, for those of you who don't know, my girlfriend does like child psychology or some shit. I don't know. It's way more than anything I can do. But like in schools, she'll do like tests and stuff. And I found out through her that Asperger's, you don't say it anymore. Like you aren't supposed to say Asperger's because it's something
was named after a Nazi.
Yeah, he was a Nazi or something. So now you can't say Asperger's. You just have to say like mild or like high functioning or some crazy shit. You have to like
call it
high function.
Yeah, you can't say Asperger's.
Can you say idiot savant?
No, that sounds offensive.
I like that.
That sounds offensive.
That used to be what it was called.
Being a savant, yeah. That's old. That's older, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a different thing,
I've
though.
heard-
That's like that's like an official like syndrome or something.
Well, that's what Rain Man was.
Yeah,
like,
Down
you
syndrome.
idiots.
No, it wasn't Down syndrome.
Maybe that's what Rain Man was.
We probably got about. I mean, we can go forever, obviously, but we probably got about another 10 minutes. I want to play real quick another clip that's making the rounds. It's Tucker Carlson with Megyn Kelly, and I don't know. It's for a couple reasons. It's making the rounds here. Let's I'll pull it up.
Is Megyn Kelly got long hair again? And is
He's
hot,
already
David?
slow it down, Tucker. I'm not ready.
Tool of Iran. I'm a freaking Episcopalian. I am not Shiite as a tool of Qatar, who's like one of our closest allies in the world. The largest American air base in the Middle East is in Qatar. They're a close ally of ours. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're taking Qatari money. I've never taken a dollar from any government. I mean, are you joking? And these are people who are acting on behalf of a foreign government telling me that I'm unpatriotic. And I try not to get like crazy angry about it, but it's hard because you see these, Ben Shapiro or these shills like come out and like attack you personally because
he was on the he was bashing you just this week.
But it's what's so infuriating is like I'm 56 in 2 weeks. So I've watched this. I was in Iraq. Like I'm not an expert on anything and I would never claim expertise. I try not to claim expertise I don't have. But just I have a good memory and I was there for a lot of this stuff. And I have unresolved rage for the reasons I just explained. No one's apologized, no one's repented, no one's changed. And so to attack me is I'm selling out my country, which is the only thing I care about. I don't have another passport. I have no plans to go anywhere. I could certainly afford to move some other country. I'm not. I live directly across from my parents' grave and I'm never leaving. So to attack me as a shill for another country, when you yourself are shilling for another country, it's almost too much for my tiny brain to deal with, actually. How much better it would be if someone like Ben Shapiro, who's smart, and I don't think Ben Shapiro is like evil. I'm not attacking him as a person, but how much better would it be if he could just sit and say, okay, here's what I think would happen if we joined an attack on Iran, or stop lying to me and telling me that we're going to defeat the Houthis. The whole point of getting involved in a war with the Houthis is to suck us into a war with Iran. Like, I know that.
I hate Ben Shapiro. And I'm glad that people in the space are calling him out. It is about time. I have had enough of Ben Shapiro. I've said it, Dave, what, 3 years now? We've been potting for 5 years.
We've been talking about it for a while.
I've said it for years.
It
was
like
before the Crowder thing. Yeah, it was before Crowder, before Candace, before the Russell Brand stuff, before the Joe Rogan stuff, before all that. I told you this. They are going to implode. It's not that I freaking am genius. These people are selling. They're shill. Shill didn't even exist when Ben Shapiro was shilling. Guy should be a shilling 10, dude. It's bullshit. And I'm glad that Tucker, out of all people, the guy that came from Fox News, Dave and I covered it on this program. One of my favorite things about Tucker Carlson, I joke about, is that I've been more awake about government fuckery than Tucker Carlson, and that guy's super smart and is a journalist and all this.
By his own words.
His own admission, and he said he believed everything the government told him until he found out about Obama wiretapping Donald Trump during his presidency. And then after that, Tucker started questioning everything. And then you can see on his program after that how everything went. Like, it's not, I mean, they fucking were releasing videos to shit talk this guy, saying that he was swearing behind air and the whole 9 yards because he was asking questions about stuff, quite frankly, that you didn't want questions asked about. On what basis am I supposed to do my fucking job?
Tucker Carlson, their attempt to cancel him, and then him going and creating his own podcast that's a million times more popular than anything Fox News is doing right now.
Higher quality as well.
Higher quality, more popular.
It makes you think, what is Fox doing with the billions of dollars they get?
It's a trust fund account for fucking BlackRock, David. Just like I told you about DoorDash and all these are just we're watching. Dude, news is money laundering for corporations to buy stock, to sell it, and not pay tax. I'm fucking convinced. DoorDash is, Uber is, All these things is so Warren Buffett can buy fucking stock and sell it and call it CNN so he doesn't got to pay taxes. But it's just mass incompetence that they're fucking trillionaires and just make the laws. Just incompetent. Tim Pool, you fuck. I can't wait until Tucker Carlson smashes the egg on your bald ass head. You fuck. You ride down in Virginia doing kickflips. I'll come down there and kickflip your studio. You shilling fuck. And they're all frauds. They're all in on the con.
Does Tucker
I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro.
Does Tucker Carlson pull the hat off, then smash the egg on it, then put the hat back on, or does it just go right over
Tim Pool pulls his hat off. It's fucking Ben Shapiro in a Tim Pool suit. It'd be crazy. I'm sorry, Tim Pool pisses me off with him freaking. That dude sat a fence forever. And the only time he got cool was when he sided with Trump. And then now here he is trying to, it's just Veep. No, it's not Veep. Veep didn't get you $10 million fucking dollars. And then you're going to tell me, no, guys, don't look behind the curtain where the fucking magic box is that's talking to you. Oh, no, guys, it's really hard being a streamer. I get to kickflip and make millions. I don't know what I'm talking about because I just wear a dumb beanie. Listen to Ben Shapiro, the guy that's bought by Jews. Fuck these people. I'm sorry. Ben Shapiro pisses me off, and Tucker Carlson's my spirit animal. Russell Brand, he was the building block of 2025, Dave. I told you, Russell Brand is a butterfly, and he has set us free. He got baptized, and fucking all this shit happened.
I actually don't hate Tim Pool, to be honest.
I hate Tim Pool. It pisses me off. This guy's got the resources. He's got the know-how. I can't be objective, David. You think I could sit down with somebody and be fucking objective? No, I'm biased. I got my own life, and I got my own dumb opinion. Tim Pool is actually trying to not be objective, and he's not trying anymore. It's a problem. He used to try to not sit on fences, and he would end up on the fence. Now he's just like, I just sit with the post up my ass. I'm tired of it. Tucker Carlson tried bat and ball. Crowder tried bat and ball. Candace Owens tried bat and ball. Joe Rogan tried bat and ball. PBD tried bat and ball. What happened? They're all on Rumble. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. Tucker Carlson, he's my spirit animal, man. Him awakening was one of the greatest things that ever. Cat Williams said at the beginning of the year that 2024 was the year of truth last year when he was on Shannon Sharp program, and we have just seen nothing but that since then. And it's just been immaculate. And we reference it every week on this program.
I think Tucker Carlson's post-Fox success is the death nail to cancel culture. Just in case anybody thought, and they're trying to cancel people.
There's so many nails in that coffin now. It's crazy.
But the
Trump getting shot in the face is a pretty good one too.
yeah, that was good. But whatever.
I forgot that they tried killing him. I really did.
It was just the local,
face. Yeah, that was good.
Local PA kid who was in a BlackRock commercial. Just the normal thing.
BlackRock commercial, and the fucking CIA's phone number, David, was right outside his house. That's weird. No, we tracked it with the ad revenue and your mass metadata that wasn't important to your Amazon sidewalk. You fucking pricks.
You know everything about the. That little old lady who was in the Capitol building on January 6th.
Dude, they
know every single thing about
her. Tomatoes.
But like, what do you know about the guy who shot Trump here in Butler? Nothing. Like the media they don't care.
He was just low key,
Hey Dave, what happened in that plane crash the other day? Oh, her mental health. She was going through a hard time. She was such a good pilot in training. There wasn't enough air. No, she couldn't fucking listen. She just had to turn left, and you killed people. This is crazy.
I don't know if you read that article.
Media
we read an article.
Literally purposely lies.
We read an article yesterday about that helicopter crash from late January where the helicopter flew into the plane and killed a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
And this article is miles long about all these things, but at the very end they do finally get to what happened, which is she was told to turn left, she didn't, It literally says, she did not turn left. That's the very last sentence of the article. Well, maybe that was it. I don't know.
That might have been
I'm
it.
no plane expert, okay? But maybe when the guy tells you to turn left so you avoid the big fucking plane, you should turn left.
I am not. I've never been in a cockpit before, so I don't know for sure. But that makes
You have
sense.
seen a plane before, though.
I have seen a plane. Yes.
I would avoid one personally if I was in a cockpit. Visual separation, Ryan. Visual separation.
Dude, I don't know. This is, as somebody, David, that we've been, I always say we've been in this long enough now, but we've done this show so long. We've caught these people in real time, and I still have to wait. I still have to get told by people at the tippy top, like Ben Shapiro and all these people. It is insane, and I just love that it's all coming out. I love it. I love that we can have guests on, and he can. Not that we probably agree on everything, but just the idea that like a lot of the things, David, that we talk about on the show and stuff is resonating with people. It's actually transferring into politics. It's kind of exciting more than anything. Like I truly like the chemtrail thing too. I literally have pictures of it. I'm literally watching them spray X's in the sky. Like
just water vapor.
What the fuck is going on with this? Like you're telling me adult to adult here that this is normal. And people are, and I used to just talk in public like this 10 years ago, and people laughed at me. 5 years ago, people were like, eh. Now, today, you're like, oh, yeah, man, they've been saying that's been water vapor for 20 years now. It's just like to watch the zeitgeist kind of get shifted this way, it's just exciting, and more than anything, I appreciate everybody being here, like.
Yeah, I think that 2020 was a huge wake up call to people that you can't trust. You can't trust them. There's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube. It's done. They've lost all the cathedral has lost all credibility, and now it's our time.
Yeah, and I love that you referenced as the cathedral, because like calling it a state or the government or they or the elites or when you say the cathedral, you kind of remove all the nuance and people can't get hung up on terms, because what you're basically saying is that this is a place of religious practice.
Yeah,
the ideas that they have there is that of religion. It's higher.
Yeah, the cathedral is always the people who determine what people are supposed to believe. The cathedral,
it's like the Pharisees,
the government, the media, and the universities. Those are the groups that are determining what you're supposed to believe. That's the cathedral.
And the banks too. Yeah, it's very and I love it. I'm big on symbolism. I'm a little bit of symbolic nature myself, but just to hear it put that way just makes my mind just tick, because what we are battling is that of a religion. Like the things that we have to do to shake people out of it is that of an exorcist, because what we're actually battling is a mind control that goes back thousands of years. Their parents' believed in government. You know what I mean? Like their parents' did. And it's not like we're going to wake up everybody and save the world or whatever. It's more important that we just obviously share and move forward, as discover the whole animated contest of being an American, basically. And more than anything, that is so exciting to just frame it that way. And I think I may have to not take it from you. I'll always reference it, your coining, but I really think that's beneficial to people in our space to look at it as a religious exorcism, like for real.
Yeah. That idea of discovering what we are as Americans, that's fantastic, because that's I think what we need to do. Like we break free from the cathedral, and then we discover what we are. I'm a Protestant myself. There was the Protestant Reformation, where the Protestants broke free from the Roman Church, and there was a process of discovery there. What is Christianity now that it's broken free from Rome? So now is an exciting time. and it's going to have to be a time of discovery, not people like Ben Shapiro dictating this is what we are as Americans. No, let's discover what we are. Let's discover what we believe in. Let's discover our values and go from there, because right now we've all spent most of our lives being told these are what our values are. But that time is over. That time is over. It's time for discovery.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's time to leave. I think it's time to leave Plato's cave.
Yes.
Yeah. It was great having you on again. You can have for the record, just reach out anytime. You can be on whenever. You're good.
All right.
Cool. I don't know what you're doing these days. If you feel the need to plug anything, but
I have nothing to plug right now. No.
Excellent.
Well, luckily for us, I can plug us Dave Ryan and John Thomas December.
I was gonna say, I never ask you if you want to plug anything.
David, the only thing I got to plug is these biceps. Dave Ryan, John Thomas, December 1773. Join us on Rumble for the greatest podcast in all of human history. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time and everybody else, especially you, John. Thank you. It was wonderful seeing you again. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Great to be back.
Thanks for your time.
Tomorrow,
Good luck
same
with the
time.
family.
Another guest, by the way, tomorrow, just for the record. Everyone tune in. Right.
Is it your friend? Is it your friend, David?
Ron, you don't worry about who
fucking propaganda ministry of David is quintessentially. See, you're having guests on to replace me as a co-host. Quintessentially, literally working my way out of not getting paid. I will never get paid for this program, David, and I will sue you.
Time out.
I will sue the shit out of you.
Tell me what days your dad is free.
She wants to sneak your dad on the program without you knowing.
Oh, just reach out to him on Facebook. He would love to talk to you.
Paper mache Jesus.
Paper mache Jesus. John, Dave Ryan, December 1773. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Later, John.